Well, here at the Aussie Wire, we've been following the story of a number of different suspended doctors, each of them suspended for different reasons, and we have an update today from suspended Dr My Le Trinh. My Le, thank you so much for joining us on the Aussie Wire once again.
Thank you, Tofu, for having me.
Now, I've been following your Twitter with some interest because your saga, if I can be so bold as to call it that, the saga of what's happened with you, the suspension, the judgment, your efforts to get the judgment has really dragged on, and it's a classic case of the process really being the punishment. Last time we spoke, you were trying to extract a judgment regarding your case from the powers that be. Can you bring us up to speed? What were you waiting for? Why was it important that you get it? And what's happened now?
Yes, so I challenged the medical council concerning a legislation that required them to refer me to the tribunal. And why that is important is that it allows me a judicial process that is fair and just, and that wasn't enforced. Legislation was not enforced by the by the medical council, and I seek to have a judicial review. I lodge a lawsuit against the medical council before the tribunal, and they will dismiss my case. So I appealed it to the Court of Appeal, and that matter was waiting to be heard in March of 23. However, it came to my attention that the delegation process by the medical council to the panel that suspended me was not done according to the legislation, which means that these people that suspended me did not have the power to suspend me. So I decided to challenge this this particular issue as well, and the court required me to go back to the tribunal and present this matter before the tribunal before it can be heard in the Court of Appeal. So that was done before that was put to the tribunal on the 19th of May 2023, and since then I've been waiting for the judgment to be released. Without the release of judgment, I couldn't have my case heard before the Court of Appeal. So the tribunal was delaying in releasing the judgment, and I was waiting for 16 weeks. And I then decided that I should launch a public appeal to ask the public to help me to put pressure on the judge. So that was successful because a week after that, launching that appeal, the tribunal released the judgment. So I have now been able to, hopefully my case will be heard in the Court of Appeal in a few months.
Look, My Le, it's quite a remarkable story. Unfortunately, we just had one or two glitches with the internet stability there while you were talking, but I believe we caught the gist of it. It is amazing to see just how punishing the process can be, because while all of this is going on, you're being bounced between the tribunal and the courts are sending you back to the tribunal, and the tribunal's holding on to the judgment so you can't go back to the courts. While all of that's happening, of course, you're suspended. You're not able to practice medicine, as I understand it, and not to pry into your personal affairs. But are you able to earn a living at the moment, or are you having to survive off savings and dip into your savings to get by?
Yes, I have to depend on my saving. In fact, I resourced all my savings now. I haven't been able to work at all, and I spent most of my time working on my case, despite the fact that I have got a lawyer working for me.
No, it's extraordinary, and what I've seen so often in people with situations similar to yours is an effort by the system to simply exhaust the resources of the person that they are going after, and that's certainly what it looks like is happening in your case. What's next for you now that you do have that judgment from the tribunal? You're going to be going to court. If I have understood the process up to this point correctly, you're going to court specifically to ask this question as to whether that delegation power had been correctly given, and therefore whether your suspension was valid in the first place. Is that correct? Can you tell me a bit about how that's going to go?
Yes, that's correct. So I'm challenging two legislation. So I have not. So by right, I have the right to be referred to the tribunal for a hearing if they suspended me. So there's a legislation called Section 145D of the national law states that if my complaint is serious and it warrants a a suspension or cancellation of registration, that my matter should be referred to the tribunal automatically, that I don't have to apply for an appeal of my suspension, that this right to be heard before the tribunal is stated in that legislation. And but the medical council refused to enforce that because it allows them to have control of us,
Sure.
or control. So it means that they could suspend me as long as they like. The legislation required them to refer me to the tribunal very soon after I've been suspended. And that's abuse of power. And the matter concerning the delegation is that if they don't have the power to suspend, my suspension was invalid. So the medical council have not complied with the law, have not abide by the legislation, and so there's no power vested in the people that suspended me. And that didn't just apply to me. This unlawful process have been happening for many years, and so by doing a judicial review, it's holding the medical council to account, so that they're operating within the law and not outside the law or beyond the law.
Well, My Le, thank you so much for bringing your story to the Aussie Wire. We will continue to follow this as it develops, but I also encourage people to find your social media links. They'll be in the show notes underneath this video, and to follow you directly to get their information directly from the source as this story continues to develop. I think this is actually quite an important court case that you're running here on your own behalf, certainly on behalf of other doctors that have been abused through unlawful suspension, or not necessarily unlawful in some cases, but just inappropriate suspension. They were suspended for the wrong reasons. And certainly in your case, I do hope that there is compensation forthcoming if you're able to prove this point that they never had the lawful right to suspend you in the first place, to see you restored everything that you've been lost. Of course, we can't give back to your patients what they've lost in the form of the care that you would have provided for them over this time that you've been stopped from doing and they've been deprived of. But certainly to see some justice in this case would be very good. Suspended Dr My Le Trinh, thank you so much for coming on the Aussie Wire.
Thank you, Tim.